fertilizer shortages and what you can do about it. Hey everybody, this is Michael with Asymmetrical Preparedness. First off, I want to talk about, people are talking about fertilizer shortages. Title is video, right? Okay, what are the fertilizer shortages people are talking about? It's actually industrial fertilizers for big farms, which impact what you get at the grocery store, right? Of course, yes it does. So, we will see impacts at the grocery store, whether it be increased prices or shortages. We know shortages are coming. We know increased prices are already here and they're going to keep on. So, what are some things that we can do about it? I'll get to that, but first off, before I forget, please subscribe, hit the like button, that's that little thumbs up, share the videos, comment below, let me know what you're doing. Remember, the comment section is a good back and forth so you can talk to people, you can spread the knowledge that you have, and or you can ask questions and other people can jump in there and help you out. I'll try to get in there also. Although, I'm pretty busy doing things, doing the homesteading thing, building more raised beds, gardening, taking care of my wife, taking care of my kids, playing my kids, all this stuff. You know what I'm talking about. So, what can we do knowing that this is coming? We can plant our own garden, right? Well, how do we keep our soil good year after year? We do what I'm sitting on right here, compost. This is a compost bin. This is my notes for the video. We got, all kinds of stuff in here. You see bananas, you see cut grass, you can see chicken manure. That's what the dark stuff is. This stuff right in here, chicken manure from my neighbors. Anyway, so what can you compost? Let's go over that first. Why do we compost also? We compost because we need it to amend our soil. It's a great way to amend our soil for free. This is all stuff you'd be throwing away anyway. So it's an easy way to get rid of it instead of sending it to the dump. Composting, you can do a compost bin like this. You can compost in containers. You can just make a pile somewhere. If you have a yard, a compost pile. You can use old trash cans. There's a lot of different ways about it. You can get those ones that rotate. There's a lot of different ways you can build a compost bin or have a compost bin. I'm not going to go into that really in this video. I'm sure there's videos out there you can look up. You can also just look up online using DuckDuckGo or one of those kind of things, secure search engine, and find compost bin composting options. I'm not up to speed as far as what all is out there. I just build my own, redneck raised bins out of spare stuff I had laying around. But compost, yes, is used to amend the soil. Good nutrients, replenish the nutrients in the soil and keep it really healthy for your plants so you can grow really good, healthy food. Because we know that the stuff in the grocery store doesn't taste anywhere near as good as the stuff we have at home. Why? Because our soil quality is better. Those big mega farms, how well do they amend their soil? Yes, they use professional fertilizers. Yes, they do things to, to do the soil. But they don't really care about how good it tastes and all the nutrients that are in it. We do. I know I do. So let's talk about composting a little bit. What can you compost? And this isn't in any particular order at all. A whole bunch of items on here. Fish. You hear about fish compost, fish fertilizer. You can take a whole fish, put it in your raised bed as you're building your raised bed, or bury it in the ground. Fish heads you can get from fish markets. Anything, scraps left over, the scales, the skin, the tails, the fins, and all that stuff you can throw in, or you can throw in a compost bin. So all this stuff I'm talking about, you could bury in your raised bed as you're building it up. I do a lot of this stuff. Or you can till the ground and bury it deep, dig a bunch of the soil out, bury a bunch of this organic material in there, and then put the soil back. And it will just compost down over time. Or you can do an official compost bin like I'm talking about. So what else can you put in there? Coffee grounds. You can also sprinkle them in your raised beds or your soil, whatever. Also the paper filters you use to filter your coffee, you can throw those in also. Veggie trimmings, obviously. When you peel a banana, the banana peel, well that's fruit, but if you peel a potato, throw those in. You cut off bad spots out of a potato, throw those in. You peel an onion, throw those in. any kind of vegetables, any kind of fruit. Fruit peels and cores, like I was just saying. But first off, before you throw away any of those veggies or fruit, save the seeds. Save as many seeds as you possibly can to put in your seed bank for growing your own food. Even if you're not actively gardening right now, even if you don't have the ability or the space or whatever it is, which isn't really an excuse, because even if you're in an apartment, you can garden, albeit on a smaller scale. And I'm not really up to speed on that, but there are channels that do apartment gardening. Check them out. I'm sure there are. But save all your seeds, because in years to come, you'll be glad you did. Use paper towels and toilet paper. I'm not talking after you wipe your bum. I'm talking about if you blow your nose into them, if you use them to wipe down the counter with natural cleaners, stuff like that. Where there's no chemicals, there's no poo, stuff like that in it. If you use it just to wipe something down really quick, or wipe your brow, or whatever it is you use it for. If there's no poo on it, you can put those in the compost bin or in your raised beds, whatever. Eggshells. Eggshells are great. We save our eggshells. I let them dry out, and then I crush them all up, and I sprinkle them in the raised beds. Or you can just throw them in your compost pile also. Crush them up easier because then they'll compost down easier, and that adds calcium to the soil, which is really good. Chicken poo, like I just said, right here. All along with that, cow poo, horse poo, and another one I'll talk about that's interesting, you may not have thought about, any animal that is vegetarian, that doesn't eat other animal products, you can use their poop for composting in your garden. I've heard there are ways to use other types of poop that does have animal products in it, but I don't even want to go there. It's just so much easier to just do it this way, that I have plenty available for me this way. Yes, baby girl, that's really pretty. Here, I'll show them. Really pretty. And I'm brain farting what this is. You can tell me.
Wish flower.
No. What does it come from?
Dandelion?
Dandelion. There you go. Dandelion. Super awesome. Dandelions, don't get rid of them. They're weeds, but very useful weeds. Anyway, yes, poop from these animals will compost down. Like you use steer manure compost. You can get different things from topsoil places. Very, very good for your compost bin. The thing you may not have thought about, if you live in an area where I live, like out in here, my lower field, out and about in the woods, deer droppings, deer poop, because they only eat vegetables and fruit. So you can go gather up deer poop. I'm not saying you have to. I'm not saying it'd be fun, but hey, you could. Grass cuttings, like I just saw in here. But don't get the weed, don't get the roots. Make sure you don't have roots. Go around, if you cut your lawn or anything like that, throw in your compost. That's a really good thing. Or bury it in a raised bed, or till it into your soil. It'll compost down over time. Fir needles and pine needles. Yes, you can throw those in there. I got a couple of those out in here, right? Yeah. As well as tree leaves back in here coming from that big maple right there. And these, I believe these are alders. I'm not a tree person, but yeah. All the leaves that fall in the fall, right? Collect them all up, throw them in your compost bin. Also, bark, tree bark and branches, twigs, all that kind of stuff. Break them up, throw them in your compost pile. Or bury them in your raised beds as like a modified hugelkultur bed. That's what I do. If you put in the tree limbs and stuff like that, the bigger they are, obviously the longer it'll take to compost. So be mindful of that. If it's a situation where you're, like this bin I have right here is ready for next season. This is the one we're using now, we're filling now, that will be ready for the season after that. Or actually, these may both be ready for next season. I'm not sure. I need to build on to this, rotating through it. And actually, sometimes you have things like this happen. That's supposed to be my compost pile. A bunch of potatoes grew in there. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to let them go. Whatever. The other stuff underneath there will still compost down. We'll be fine. Don't sweat the small stuff. Nut shells and seed shells. Like if you're eating a lot of peanuts or almonds or walnuts or sunflower seeds, save the shells. Throw them in your compost or in your beds or garden area, whatever. Hedge trimmings. You know when you got to trim your hedges to make them look nice? Throw that in your compost pile. Any organic material. You'll see where I'm going with this. Moss. If for some reason you got moss around, throw it in there. Here's a really good one. You know one of those things that go around your house that we got to clean all the time? Your gutters. That's all organic material. Clean your gutters, throw it in your compost bin. Great idea, right? I'm a pretty smart guy. Yeah, I'm kidding. Cut flowers after they die. Like you buy your significant other some nice pretty flowers. That's important to do every once in a while. Don't forget that, guys. And gals maybe even. Don't forget to let those around you know how much you care about them and how much they're loved. And do it randomly, not just on Valentine's Day or Mother's Day or anything like that. Do it randomly. Random act of kindness for those that you love. Very important. So the cut flowers when they die, compost bin. And that murky water that's left in there, pour that in your compost bin or pour it in your garden. That's really good. Another thing you can use for watering your garden is if you have fish tank. When you clean out your fish tank, you drain it. Use that in your garden. It's fish compost, right? Thinned plants from the garden. When you overplant or you overseed, I do a lot of overseeding because I use old seeds. Some of my seeds I'm planting this year are from 2012, 13, or 14. So I overseed, just in case. But I got a lot of seeds, so I don't mind doing that. And sometimes when I thin, I'll transplant. I'll just be like, okay, I got a bunch of stuff I got to thin. Hey, that's an excuse to build another raised bed or to establish another garden area. But anyway, you can, but don't put the roots in. Trim the roots off, put them in your compost. Sawdust. If you're doing projects around, whether it be a circular saw, a hand saw, a chainsaw, collect up all that sawdust, put it in your compost, or use it to mulch around your plants. Very good. Corn husks. It's another one of those things. Anything, you're buying corn for the summer when you're going out barbecuing or, cooking corn on the cob. The cobs, also don't forget, they take a long time to compost. So what I do is I chop them all up, really as small as I can, or as small as I feel like it. Throw them in the compost. Helps them compost down faster. The inside of a toilet paper roll. You can stuff them full of dryer lint and sticks and twigs and stuff to make fire starters also. But if you got enough fire starters, throw those things in your compost. If you have birds, like pet birds, or pet little small animals like gerbils and stuff like that, all the sawdust or the hemp, whatever stuff you have down, when you clean out their cages, throw that in your compost or your garden area. Tea bags. If you like herbal teas or black tea, whatever it is, tea bags, they can go in the compost. Throw them in. Stale and or skunked beer. If you started a beer, you opened it, and you didn't finish it, pour that in your garden or pour it in your compost. Good stuff in there. Fermented and bad juice. If you got some, orange juice in the fridge that's fermented, pour it in your compost. What, baby girl?
Slugs can compost.
Slugs? Oh, yeah. If you kill slugs, smush them, throw them in the compost. You found a slug?
Yep.
All right, cool. Did you kill it? Oh, I see it. Yeah, knock it off there and kill it. We don't want slugs in our garden. We're slug hunters here. All right. Newspaper. Don't ever throw away newspapers, because collect them to use for starting fires. Crumple up, start a fire. Yes. But if you get too many newspapers for that purpose, throw them in your compost. Just knock it off with a stick or something, baby girl. Pages of old useless books, aka Obama's autobiography, or Nancy Pelosi's autobiography, or any other person that is anti-American. You can use it to burn also. You can burn it, starting your campfires. That's a good use for it also. But if you don't want to do that, then throw it in your compost pile. That's a good use for those people's books. But anyway, uncoated paper plates or bowls. Not the stuff that is coated to make them, baby girl, just knock it off and then step on it. It's no big deal. Cardboard, non-laminated, non-colored, take all the tape off, stuff like that. But just raw Brown cardboard, great. I line the bottom of my raised beds with a good amount of that because it'll just compost down and rot anyway. And it keeps the weeds from growing up through. When you're vacuuming your house, right? What is in that vacuum bag? Well, it's dead skin, it's dirt, maybe animal hair, stuff like that. That'll compost. So empty your vacuum cleaners into your compost. Why not? Cotton from pill bottles. If you got those, it'll compost. Throw that in there. Used paper straws. If you have paper straws, when you get done using them, throw them in the compost. Junk mail. Another thing, if it's not laminated, if it's not plastic, if it's just paper, shred it up, throw in your compost. Hair from drains. Guys, you know, if you got women with long hair, you got to always clean those drains. You pull up that big old, like, you're pulling and pulling and pulling all that hair out of there. Gross, right? But we do it because we love them. And throw that in the compost. As well as when you cut your hair, if you trim your hair like I trim my beard, I could collect that up and throw in the compost. I usually don't. But also when you trim your nails, you can compost that.
Is that good?
That's fine, baby girl. I'll throw in the compost in a little bit. Dead slugs, they'll compost down. Yeah, nail clippings. I get it. That's pretty hardcore. I don't do that, but you can do that. Also, when you're sharpening these things, pencil sharpenings, the pencil shavings, you can throw that in the compost. Crushed seashells, really good, just like eggs, adds calcium to the soil. You can throw that in your compost also, very good. And finally, last one is ash from your fireplace, your stove, or your campfire pit. That's a really good use for that. You need to clean it out every once in a while anyway. Why not throw it in your compost pile? Mix it into your soil, put it into your raised beds, whatever. So I hope this gave you some good information, some good ideas. No, I did not look this up online. No, I didn't do any research. This is all just stuff I came up with off the top of my head. There's probably a million other things that you can compost. But I feel this is a good list, and I hope it's some good information out there. I hope you guys are composting and making your own fertilizer that's good and healthy. Like I said, the shortages aren't really affecting us on our level. It's more commercial grade. But why not prepare to produce your own to the best of your abilities? Anyway, I love you guys. Have a wonderful day, and blessings to you and yours.